Blog Talk Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Go on, Mr. President. Hey, it's the 13th of November, 2013. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. We're glad to have you with us. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you?
I've been better. I got an embarrassing story that I've been waiting to tell you all week.
Oh, do tell.
So I hurt myself.
Like your own feelings? Like when
No,
you're looking in the
no,
mirror and
I
like
physically
talking
hurt
bad?
myself.
Or
It was playing basketball, which we all know I shouldn't play.
Okay,
But
so
it wasn't just basketball.
you need to post a picture of yourself on our page so that people can see why this is not a good idea. And to paint a picture really quick, it's like in Along Came Polly when they were playing basketball, and the friend was shooting. Let it rain. That would be you playing basketball. So continue.
Are you for scuba? So I was playing Wii basketball, and I get a little competitive.
Okay.
And I got caught up in the moment, and I jumped up.
Uh-huh.
As I did, I heard this crunching noise out of my right knee.
Right.
And apparently pulled all the muscles on the backside of my knee. So that was my embarrassing story for the week.
Listen, you clearly didn't stretch before you did this.
Not.
And you
I
are
was
not
doing 16-ounce curls prior.
You are not 18 anymore.
No, far from it. I am double that. So, yeah, getting further away from that. It was just funny, though, because that was my first thought. I was like, what the hell happened to me, man? I'm playing friggin' Wii basketball.
Yeah. You know what happens? When I hit 30, I noticed, I'm a little stiff the next morning now, get involved in something or whatever. I'm a little stiff now, right? If I decide to go do a workout or whatever it is. 35, I'm a little stiffer now, right? It takes me a little while to get things going when I get out of bed in the morning a little bit, get all the joints lubed up and stuff. And I passed 35 a few years ago, and So you should know better.
Listen, I should know better. And it was one of those things that I was caught in the moment. We were having fun. I was being a goofball. But at the end of the day, I went down hard.
So did you fall? Now, when you fell, did you go, oof?
I didn't fall in the classic sense. I did go down on one knee.
Did you fall in the Chevy Chase sense?
No more, yeah. Actually, Chevy would be a good one.
Okay.
More Chevy Saturday Night Live than Fletch or Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
But, yeah. I was just like, come on, man. Why did this have to happen? And I didn't want to tell anybody because you don't want to tell anyone that story.
Right. Listen, I will keep it between you and I.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
As a man, there are certain things that you just don't want to discuss.
Such as?
Stupid injuries as you get older. Ken, actually, I was listening to Ken's show before we went on the air tonight, and he had two gals on talking about just the demasculinity of men that's being done.
Demasculinization?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
For the progressive left, and it's being done. And this is one of those things that I thought felt imperfectly. I'm like, I can't tell anybody this. If anyone ever found out, it would ruin so much that I've worked for to build myself up as a tough guy, so to speak. And, I was taken down by a wee. So I
by a wee lad?
No, by an actual wee. So I went to bed the other day. Thanks for trying to make me feel better, Sacco.
I shat myself just now. Does that count? Is that making you feel better?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Listen, we're here for you, brother. This is, you know.
Oh, I know. You shat yourself because you saw the Obamacare enrollment numbers.
Okay, so just real. I know we weren't going to talk about this, but the hearing. So there was a female member. And I don't know, I don't remember her name. I'll get it for you. But we have this clip, and it was a senior White House advisor that was being questioned on the Hill. It's a real brief back and forth. We have the clip queued up, Sacco. Okay, go ahead and play it.
A bullshit artist. Did you bullshit last week? No. Did you
have candles to your home? What the hell is this, Sacco? What did Sacco do?
Sacco.
Did Sacco put an Airwick commercial?
Why did we get just Airwick in our headphones? What are you doing over there? That was outstanding. Fortunately, I think it was only our feed. But okay, good. It didn't go over. In our headphones, Mr. Technical Guy, we just got an
Airwick commercial.
An Airwick commercial, I swear to God.
Did that come through on the air?
No, it must not have.
He's not even listening on the air anyway.
No, he's not. He's listening to that other show.
Call, right?
You want to talk about live radio for you. There you go. But, yeah, so that was the testimony on the Hill, just total and complete BS.
Yeah. And we want to thank History of the World.
History of the World for that.
Part 1. For that little clip,
I
Mel
wish
Brooks.
Make a part 2.
I know. Just
it's amazing how relevant Mel Brooks is in a lot of different ways.
Try making one of those movies today.
We talked about this last week. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I got a quick thing out of Florida here. There was a woman whose son made the honor roll in a school district.
Okay.
And you would think she would be happy, correct?
Well, yeah. Honor
roll. Your child came home honor roll, right?
Right. That's unless it's like from some progressive school. And, hey, look, my son knows that America is a big evil empire country, right?
Her son earned 4 A's. Very nice.
Okay.
Good job. A C and a D were his other 2 grades.
How did he make the honor roll?
Well, he ultimately qualified for the honor roll because his grade point average stayed above 3.16. 1 point above the minimum, which is 3.15.
Okay, well, now hang on a second. So the mother was upset that he made the honor roll?
Yeah.
Because he should not have
Well, she punished him for the C and the D.
Okay.
When he came home from school.
Okay, good.
Because it's an unacceptable grade. That's exactly what a parent's supposed to do.
C is average. I mean, come on.
Well, no,
we need that. We need factory workers, right?
The world needs stitch diggers, too, son. Have you ever seen?
Exactly.
But either way, so she's trying to be a good parent. Hey, you know what? You got a D. It's unacceptable.
I have no problem with C's. I got C's. Listen, people need us. Okay? Society needs us.
Society needs 2 idiots to sit in front of a microphone every Wednesday night and banter on about.
Listen, I have a blue-collar job. It's the society needs us.
And but because of that, so she punished him the first night, and then finds out the kid's on honor roll. And she's like, "Well, wait, why is he on honor roll? He has a C and a D. Well, is the grade point average?" She said, "No, that's unacceptable.
Good.
It's not a numbers game. It's not just this whole blanket." Grade on the curve, blah blah blah.
Well, it's not grading on a curve, right?
Well,
it's a bright line test,
right? But it's an average. It's what we've done in this country. We average everything out instead of letting people stand alone for what they've either done or not done. We just average it out, so it's ridiculous. But she's aggravated, and I can see why. Listen,
I see both sides in that case because the school has a bright line test. He was above it. He gets on the honor roll. Now, if he doesn't get on the honor roll and he is above that bright line test, now the school potentially is in trouble, right? But you don't want to award the C's and D's. So as a parent, I absolutely have to back the mom up on that.
Yeah.
So, and plus with the new Common Core curriculum from the federal government where 2 plus 2 may not actually equal 4. It's really kind of how you got whatever answer you got. That's important because we want to make people feel good. I can see where a D can place somebody on the honor roll.
Yeah, no, I just...
What do you mean, yeah, no?
I think there should be a disclaimer. Like, hey, you know what? If you keep your grade point average above 3.15, you're in. But if you get a D, you're automatically disqualified.
Right. A's, B's, C's,
right.
you're good.
If you get all C's,
right?
Hey, awesome. Good for you. Bravo.
Yeah.
But I just think the D's... I saw this and I just thought, you know what? It's another way that we're celebrating in this country way too much for mild accomplishments.
Well, now, hang on a second. It's like I told my parents, right? D is for duh, I passed, right? F is for fudge, I didn't.
I was so close. Right? So friggin' close.
Or not. Either way.
So we have an awesome guest on hold who's going to join us. She wrote her second installment of the 47 Bodies of Hillary Clinton. She finally got it out this week.
So the first chapter of her book.
We're getting around to it. We're trying.
We hope.
We are trying. So I want to bring her in a second. If you haven't checked it out, go to theblacksphere.com. What?
What do you mean in a second?
I'm going to bring her in a
She's
second.
important. Bring her in now.
Listen, the only reason I can't bring her in right now is
because you don't want to and you're doing your little power trip. I get it.
What I was going to say
is, man with a broken knee. Look, I can still do something. I can keep her locked out.
I'll show her. I'll show her one of the best guests that we have on the air on a regular basis.
Ever.
I'll treat her the right way.
Right.
What I was going to say is it's going to take me a second to get the button, but no, let's go with your theory. I like that.
Right. I like that too. Ooh, look, she has her own show.
How about this, Clint? Why don't you press the button and bring her on the air?
I don't know where the button is, or I would bring her in right now. You know where the button is, and you're purposely making her wait. That's the difference, Sean. I'm an idiot. You're smart, and you're acting like the idiot. That's the difference.
You could almost call me Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now, how many great words did she tell me to read this time when we brought her in? Hold on, I have the list here somewhere.
Go to page 57 because there's some ones that have not been used to describe her yet that are fantastic. As a matter of fact, fantastic I think is in there.
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
Non-freaking stop.
Right.
The conservative train that cannot be stopped. 5'2" of amazing. Hold on, I got a couple. Wait, I can't read that much. Ladies and gentlemen, Tamara Jackson's joining us on the line right now.
Oh, my goodness. You guys are too much. I've been sitting here just laughing.
We just did the wave for you. I don't know if you could tell by the way the sound shifted throughout the air.
Oh, that's so sweet. You guys are just too nice.
Listen, we did it with so much gumption that we actually caused a mini tornado. I don't know if we could recreate it in a lab.
As long as you weren't tweaking.
Yeah, no, twerking, and I kind of was. It might have looked that way.
Twerking, tweaking, whatever.
Yeah. Listen, tweaking is something different and usually involves illegal substances.
That's the drug thing. That's right. I never knew that whole culture.
The libertarian in me says, hey, whatever you like, right?
just don't let the feds interfere. That's all we care about.
The last thing we want is federal twerking.
No.
Could you picture
that brings to mind. It brings to mind things like Helen Thomas and Michelle Obama, gyrating or something.
I need brain
bleach. It wouldn't be good.
Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein.
Oh!
Pole dancing.
Jay Carney.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Jay Carney
oh, no.
Don't look at me like that, guy.
What are you doing, Sacco?
Sacco is just... So, Tammy, I can sit here and laugh all night. However...
I know. The laughter's fun.
You wrote an amazing article. Obviously, the first one a couple weeks ago, and then you followed up this past week with your second installment of the 47 Bodies.
I prefer to call it chapters because I want to read the book when it's done.
And what's interesting, Clint, is that, and Sean knows this too, I am getting emails like you guys would not believe. First of all, I was getting a lot of emails saying, when are we going to see part 1 or part 2? We love part 1. I thought, well, I guess I better get off my backside and get going with it. Kevin Jackson that owns the Black Sphere, and so I work as his editor. But he said, well, let's wait a little bit, not have, because we got, big numbers, over 100,000 views, 130,000 views, and 80,000 one day, and so just amazing views with the article. So he said, well, let's hold off a little bit. But also, I knew how much work it was, because every one of these, people can go out there and Google this list of names, and it's out there. They're not all spelled right, the dates of death aren't all right, and there aren't details. So my whole thought was, I'm going to take this list and go through it one by one and just track down every piece of information I can and verify. I was on Ancestry.com. I was on obituaries in different states. One guy, I could not find a picture of him anywhere online, but I found his headstone at the National Cemetery in Arkansas for warriors that were fallen, and he was one of them that was killed and is one of these 47 bodies. I found that and found a picture of that, but I couldn't find a picture of him. So, and I've found a lot of interesting things. A lot of the news articles that concern these people are gone. Now, I've told people I'm not a total conspiracy nut, so I don't think, Hillary went in and removed every news article about them that was pejorative ever. But I do know that there's a lot of things that combine to make it hard to get this information. A lot of it occurred in the 80s and the 90s, which are non-digital eras pretty much. So that stuff just is not out there forever like it is now. And the other thing is so much time has gone by. So you combine that with the fact that it is the Clintons. So if there was something particularly egregious, it's probably gone. I had a couple breaks.
Now I'm going to date myself now real quick
right.
by saying the word
Which
micro.
I think you can do that legally now.
I can date myself legally, and this is California.
Yeah.
So
you're not second or first cousins with yourself.
I'm not, and honestly, I'm kind of a big deal, so I have no problem doing that. But microfiche.
Yeah.
I know. Well, see, and the thing is, I need to get to these places, so and I'm working on that. That's the second stage, the funding of all this. But I got some breaks because, believe it or not, I found a couple people that were smart enough that knew that something might happen, and they actually scanned newspaper articles. Interestingly enough, if I went to the archives of the newspaper on the given date, that article was not there. And the articles referred to some television shows. I went to the archives of the television shows. They were gone, missing, period. So some really interesting things. But amongst all the emails I'm getting are not only people saying they love what I'm doing. I mean, I get a lot of these people around the nation. One guy, he wrote, "I'm an old guy on the East Coast. You are awesome. Keep it up and be careful." And I just read it.
Yeah.
I just had to email him back. It was just so sweet. But I'm also hearing from people that knew the deceased, that would like to talk to me in person and are mailing me things because they don't trust email and phones.
Can you blame them right now? I mean, let's be honest.
No.
Right now,
And should they probably FedEx it because the Postal Service is run by the federal government?
Yeah, or even UPS or FedEx. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And one person, in fact, who was a friend of Barry Seal, who of course was shot, and he knows what was going down. He has asked if I ever get to Missouri. Well, my parents have a home in Missouri because my stepmom's from there. I said, well, I bet I could arrange it somehow because I'd have a place to stay. And he said, if you can get down here, I'll give you lots of information. And then I'm having some information sent to me from Texas, Arkansas, and Missouri from people that have emailed, and I substantiated what they were telling me. So I've got a lot of things going on. Plus, there may be some side articles. And I'm not just going to do the 47. I'm also going to include, of course, the Benghazi 4 because those are recent, and people ought to still be furious about that. So
absolutely,
there's a lot of.
Wouldn't it
but
be?
Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be ironic though if that would bump it up to the 51 bodies of Hillary Clinton? And
there may be more. There may be more. And I try to, people say, oh, you're saying that they're implicit in all this and so forth. And I say, no, I'm not saying that they're definitely implicit in all this, but I think you have to look at it with statistics and probabilities. And so if you look at and what I say at the end of the article, which I think is important for people to hear me, because this is how I think. I had a dad. I might seem like a goofball to everyone, but I had a dad that from the earliest age taught me critical thinking. And so I tell people, look at the names of these people, how close they were in the Clinton circles, and what has happened to them, including execution-style murders. And what I think is they ought to, in their mind, hear what a judge admonishes a jury.
Tammy, you there? Oh, her phone may have just cut out.
I'll get her back on.
Yeah, if she calls back, yeah. It looks like the phone cut out. Tammy,
either that or once again.
Well, and this is something, too. After I read the article, and Tammy and I talk a lot out of the public eye, one-on-one, either via email or whatever. And that's one of the things that I brought up is I said, hey, you got to be careful because this is getting so many hits. Somebody's paying attention in a big place. I mean, if we get listened to by the 5 and they steal our stuff on a regular basis.
Right. If we believe Greg Gutfeld loves us.
Right.
There's
something to listen to. When you read through this, it's amazing. And, I'm with her. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I try not to be anyhow. Because I try to be as
awesome as you possibly
as
can
awesome
be.
As I possibly can be.
When you're running around in your Aquaman underoos doing a radio show.
Who wouldn't do that? I mean, how else am I supposed to come to work?
Me.
I wear
the
as
flash.
realistic as possible. And I always try to err on the side of the caution of, hey, yeah, this happened, but are we really going to think that there's all these people conspiring together, blah, blah, blah? You start reading.
Yes, it's called the U.S. government.
You start reading this article. We read part 1 and part 2. Mm-hmm. It's scary how many people in that inner circle have died and expired in amazingly bizarre ways, and how recent and how they have been so close to the inner circle of the Clintons that it has to at some point click, and you have to say, there's got to be something more here than just coincidence. You don't have 47 now, 51 people die around the same politically powerful family.
But that's what Benghazi's for, right? Yes.
Yes, that's what Benghazi's for. All with personal connections to the Clintons. And Tammy's back on the air with us. Tammy, you there?
Yeah. Did you guys hang up on me? Was I talking too much?
Tammy, listen, I tried to stop Sean, but just like his little power trip with not bringing you in right away.
It is his powerful thing, yeah.
I think his little sausage
I'm a
fingers
manly man.
kind of hit a button. And you
I control the button. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
It's the only control, Tammy, you've listened to the show. It's the only control I have.
Right. I like to tell him, hey, listen, I have the brain. He goes, yeah, but I have the button. And then I just, suck my thumb and cry. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I go from under the table.
Clint, you suggested the book, and it's interesting because I have a really good friend who's a graphic artist, and he mentioned something to me. He set up e-books before, and I kind of think he's working on that for me now.
Outstanding.
To do an e-book, just as a precursor to an actual book. So,
Tammy, I told you my idea is that we need to get some people on board, so you could do a full-blown investigation, say take a full year to track down as much as you can on this, and really really exploit it. Because, as I was saying, I don't know if you heard because we had the communication issue, but as I said with the first one, it was a communication issue. Do not let Clint tell you otherwise.
Okay, it's probably the NSA, right?
Exactly. That's happened to us a few times.
The NSA. That's what's tattooed on Sean's finger that he uses to push the button. Just so you know.
I nicknamed my right hand the NSA.
Yeah.
But, you can't have, and like you were talking about critical thinking before we lost the call for a second, you can't have this many people expire around this close to the
Did you guys
Clintons
hear what I said about the judge? What a judge admonishes the jury?
That's when we lost.
No, we lost you right then.
Okay, the thing that the judge admonishes the jury before deliberations, they say this, and this is an approximation, but from what I remember, what would be the conclusions of a reasonable person given the evidence without going to extraordinary lengths to explain the events? So if we look at what's taking place just at face value, it's hard to come to any other conclusion that other than it's very dangerous to be around this couple.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to be anywhere near them. I don't want to know them. I don't know how Monica's still alive. They're just amazingly bizarre coincidences.
She kept the dress.
Yeah, the dress helped. That's her insurance policy. Which I have something else to tell you guys, but
Dry cleaning was closed that day.
I'll also tell you that I have heard from a number of law enforcement people that have said, please be careful. And I thought, okay, last night on my show, I had a buddy who owns the Center Mass Group. He's a retired SEAL, and he was years and years a master SEAL sniper and SEAL sniper instructor, and he's the one that trained the guys that got bin Laden. He's the one that trains DOD and all the spec ops groups in the nation. A lot of them go to him for training, for weapons training. He's also a karate instructor down in San Diego. And and then I have another buddy, Yoni Titi, that's been on my show, and he was for years and years and years a Mossad Black Ops master sniper. He's got dual citizenship. So, both these guys are pretty badass guys, good hearts, badass. But I told people, I said, yeah, I'm kind of glad I've got friends like this during this certain time in my life.
Well, and obviously, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I do worry about your safety, and I've expressed that to you as well because, you know, she is a big name, and there's a, you know, I think it's a foregone conclusion that in 2016 she's going to be running, and as we know on the progressive left, just the news. I mean, the mainstream media is going to just dump on whatever you write and try to make you look like a conspiracy theorist lunatic. But there are also those who would go to great lengths to see her elected for whatever reason. And
the year of a woman.
I worry
or
about
whatever.
people like that. You know,
but especially now, I don't think the Obama administration has any love for her.
No.
So I think you may be okay right now.
Yeah.
But if she's the nominee, I think you got to be careful. I mean,
I think you got to be careful.
I would be careful now, but especially if she's the nominee.
You know, but it's almost like a bizarre mafioso. It's like if nobody's around to testify against her, she can't go to jail. I mean,
she gets the brass ring. She gets what she wants, and what she wants.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty insatiable, though. She wants to be president now. What does she want next? I don't know.
Queen of the world.
I don't think she'll be content.
Well, I think a couple things you have going for you is you already have things in print. So now if something happens, and with the subject matter of your article, if something happens, that's kind of a big. Then Sean and I will pick up the articles, and we'll
you can run
48,
with it.
Look and look at this. But no, I think you have things
we
already
would
out.
absolutely exploit you for our own. I mean, to bring her down, not for our own gain.
We ghost wrote this for Tami.
By you printing what you've already printed and knowing that you've identified 47 and there's more to come, that provides a certain level of protection, I would think.
Yeah,
because now
I would think so too. And to bring more joy and happiness to the situation, I got my letter canceling my insurance today.
Well, congratulations. I mean, I'm sorry. I thought we were celebrating the Obamacare thing. I apologize.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, I called up and I was on air briefly with Hugh Hewitt, and he knows me, so he gets me on, and I talked about they had a professor on from MIT who was one of the architects of Obamacare, a Dr. Gruber, We kept calling him Goober, which was a Freudian slip.
Because was it Hans Gruber? Because I'm pretty sure he did some stuff at the Nakajima Towers.
Yeah,
too.
he was definitely the bad guy.
He's a bad guy. I think Bruce Willis took him out in one of the Die Hards.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that he survived and was also one of the beginning people for Obamacare. So
yeah,
I think
there you go.
This is definitely the point in the interview where Timmy closes her eyes and goes, "Why did I dial the number? Not once, but twice tonight. Why did I dial the number? I had my out. Oops, communication issues. Whatever."
They hung up on me. I could have run away, but no, I called back.
Yeah, I was talking about Die Hard.
No, it's too much fun. But the guy was just, you could just tell he's in his little insular, tenured world with all his lefty buddies, and he's got these great theories in his head, and he kept saying, no, it's not socialism, no, it's not single payer. And I'm looking at this letter in my hand saying, you have 3 choices. Your insurance will no longer exist as of December 31st, 2013. As of January 1st, 2014, we will, as a courtesy to you, move you to the Bronze program. You will like that insurance. Of course, the Bronze insurance is 300% more, and that's the cheapest plan I can have, and it covers less. So I don't have 300% more. And they said, now your second choice is to choose another plan. And the other plans go up to, say, 1,000% more. And the third choice is to call Cover Oregon. And the only thing Cover Oregon has done so far is create a website with the world's worst hippie-type song about Oregon. And they're not signing up people. Nothing is working. They've got this song that even the lady that wrote it is not claiming that she wrote it because it's so embarrassing. So those are my choices.
When you write a website, when you write a song that the state chooses for a website, and you're like, yeah, I didn't do that.
Well, hang on a second.
I know. She putting daylight in between her and this dorky song. It really sounds like a bunch of hippies at a love fest. It doesn't even have the Jimi Hendrix thing going for it. It's just bad. And so those are my choices, or to take the penalty. Well, I'm going to do the penalty. There's no way, and you know where, that I'm going to be covered by Obamacare. Not going to do it. No, thank you. And I can't afford 300% more. So we'll see what happens. I told everybody, well, I'm going to pray I stay healthy, and that if I get something, I'll tell God I want it to be deadly and really, really fast. Because,
hey, don't tell the Clintons that because they have something called a bullet.
Right.
Maybe
you don't want to get lead poisoning.
I'm speculating,
I don't want them to answer my prayer.
Right. I have 2 comments on that. One is I think you're looking at this all wrong. You should write the president a thank you letter for the opportunity to get rid of your insurance that was not up to his standards.
Right. It was subpar.
Yeah, it was subpar.
It was junk.
So
right.
Yeah, so you have an opportunity for better health care, and so that's a good thing, right?
That's nice.
Right.
That's nice, right? We can put a positive.
Nice.
We can put a positive spin on this. I think. And it's the Bronze program, right? That sounds awesome.
That's like
Bronze.
third place at the Olympics.
It just,
right.
I made it past the Bronze in my ballroom dancing, and that was really cool. But I don't remember that it was something that was chosen for me. This was chosen for me, and they make it sound like they're doing me a favor. And then I looked at the fee schedule, and I thought, they're not doing me a favor.
I'm on the same list as you, and Tammy, we're up against the break, and I'm hoping you'll stay on for the other side. But I had the same thing happen where
Wait a second. We're up against a break, and you're going to continue to tell a story after you shut down our best guest?
That's a segue.
Oh, I thought that was one of the things you ride around
Fine, that's
front of
just
the
a segue.
studio.
You know what? I'm not going to segue. I'm not going to segue anymore. I'm just going to go on the break. Tammy, we'll be back with you in 3 minutes.
Why don't you scooter? Why do you segue? Seriously, what is this? What is wrong with you today?
It's like trying to run a radio show.
Right,
in a
NSA, right on your finger. Not Sean's appendage. I mean, what else could it stand for?
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So going into the break, we were talking about healthcare numbers.
Yes. A
little bit. And we have, 106,000 enrolled through federal and state exchanges?
106,185.
That's good. 106,000 people without insurance that are now insured. Well, or at least signed up, but they haven't paid a premium yet, maybe. Some of them. And I think the reason they included those numbers is to get them over 100,000, which sounds better than, 60,000 have signed up, right?
Right.
But over 5 million have been canceled. So 5 million had to give up their health coverage so that 106,000 could get
we have to
enrolled. You know what would be really embarrassing?
What?
Is if the 5 million people that had canceled, if there was like one state that had a huge percentage of them, like if 1/50th of the number of states were responsible for like 20%.
That would be California.
Oh. Weird. Because California was like so excited about this, right? They had their exchange up, everything was working, big progressive state. So they had 1 million people lost their insurance, and 79,391 have signed up. So 1 million lost, so that 79,000 could get insurance.
Yeah.
No, that sounds perfect.
No, that's
20% of the number of people canceled total.
Yes. Isn't that a good number? Isn't that success? SUCCES. Crap.
Who's Seth? You're gross. So
I don't understand. And Tamara Jackson's on the line with us, and we were talking about her article, 47 Bodies of Hillary Clinton, and we've kind of parlayed into Obamacare. Tammy,
Yeah.
before we went to break, you were talking about how you lost your insurance, and then, now we're talking about the numbers that have come out as of today.
Which are great, right? 5 million sacrificed for 106,000, so that's good.
Yeah, let's sacrifice.
Yeah, I put up an article about that today, you guys. In fact.
Well, of course you.
Well, yeah. Why would
you beat us to the punch?
I know, and it's just basically that it's interesting because 50 insurance policies canceled to every one Obamacare enrollee, and that's just right now.
Yeah, that's before we get underway. And how many of those are Medicaid?
Yeah, I don't know how many of them are Medicaid. Now, it's interesting because the administration estimated that 620 would sign up by, I think, the end of September. And so we're not even...
It was. They thought it was November 2018. They expected 600,000.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well,
we were talking about your loss of insurance, and earlier this week, David Axelrod, the stooge of the left, if you will, who's now shaved off his mustache to look like less of a D-bag, said, wonder how many insurance companies that sold junk policies after ACA was signed told customers at purchase that they would eventually have to switch. Now, a lot of the reason, What? What do you mean we? Of course it's we, but my initial reaction
Sorry,
to this,
Goose.
Sorry, Goose. My initial reaction to this is, well, seeing how that, from what I understand, the government didn't exactly communicate with a lot of insurance companies very well as to what would match and what would not match until sometime around spring. So, like for who changed insurance companies last December, I didn't know if what I was picking was a quote-unquote junk policy. By the way, this junk policy fit my life absolutely perfect. It's probably one of the best insurance.
No, it didn't. Otherwise, you would have been able to keep it.
It was one of the best insurance.
Well, it's like my junk policy. It was fine.
Right. No, it wasn't, because otherwise you would have been able to keep it, and the government knows better.
So
yeah, they know better than us little flyover folks.
Right,
yeah, exactly. Our response to him on Twitter for this was, no, you windbag. The libs passing an insane law from their ivory tower saying, we know what's best for you, asshat, is the reason that we lost my coverage.
Was that hashtag?
I believe there was a hashtag asshat.
Oh, okay.
This belief, and I think people are, I really think, because if you look at his poll numbers, as we talked about today, or we're going to eventually, are really low. I think people are starting to finally figure this out. Listen, he came out last week with that half-hearted apology that we have a clip on, and but at the end of the day, he never really said, he said, I'm sorry because it was obligatory, but there was no, hey, you know what?
And it wasn't even really a sorry.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's listen to the clip. I'm going to listen to it just because it's very telling, and it's so just dodging. This is Obama with Chuck Todd on NBC.
I regret very much that what we intended to do, which is to make sure that everybody is moving into better plans because they want them as opposed to because they're forced into it, that we weren't as clear as we needed to be in terms of the changes that were taking place. And I want to do everything we can to make sure that people are finding themselves in a good position, a better position than they were before this law happened. And I am sorry that they are finding themselves in this situation based on assurances they got from me. We've got to work hard to make sure that they know we hear them and that we're going to do everything we can to deal with folks who find themselves in a tough position as a consequence of this.
Not to help them, but to deal with them.
Right. Well, we have to deal with those idiots who had insurance.
You know who else dealt with people that they had issues with? I could name a few people in history that dealt with people, and the Clintons come to mind based upon an article I read recently from you.
Just recently.
Right. So,
you know what I wrote in my article today about this? I said, with one signature via his pen, Obama has managed to not lower the levels of the oceans, but rather the levels of the insured in America. because
it's true.
Going down like crazy. Forget about the oceans.
The thing that people forget is we haven't even gotten to the employer mandate.
No.
We haven't gotten to that yet. This hasn't even been fully implemented.
No,
We're just
and
at
it's going to affect businesses like crazy because when I had my corporate job for 20 years, we had insurance brokers who every single year shopped around for the best policies possible for our smaller business, so that's 50 people or less, this corporation. It was a good corporation. But they shopped around for policies that were feasible for that company, that gave us the best amount of coverage for the least amount to us and to the company. They gave us pretty good insurance, but it was a new policy pretty much every year. We very seldom stayed with the same company because things were changing like crazy. So you can figure, they said if nothing has changed since 2010, there are not a lot of companies out there that haven't had a change to their corporate insurance policies for their employees since 2010. You just don't hear about that too much in this day and age.
Well, and it's almost like with cell phones when they're always coming out with newer and better deals. And, I think insurance companies got wise that instead of having your three choices, let's call them gold, silver, and bronze, because people say, well, that's really not what I need. I need something that has a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or maybe my husband, is wheelchair bound, but I'm not. Whatever it is, more choices needed to be made. And I can remember when I first got into the workforce and had insurance, it was a few options when you went to a healthcare company or when you did that open enrollment thing. But the last few times I did it, I had a ridiculous amount of choices of plans within that company. And now I'm down to one from the company that we do our healthcare through.
And why are we going to call it bronze? Let's call it platinum. Okay, there is no winners and losers here. It's platinum. It's platinum, platinum plus, or platinum ultra. Okay, but everybody's a platinum.
You don't want anybody to feel bad.
Right. We don't want people to feel bad, right? We don't want Tami to have a bronze, right?
I feel like I'm a loser, like I'm in third place.
Third place. That's second loser, right? No,
yeah,
you're platinum.
It is. My dad always said, you show me a good loser and I'll show you, or what is that, a poor loser and I'll show you a loser. That's what he'd say. Yeah. Well, anyway. Hey, and you guys, talking about grades, you were talking about grades earlier and about C's and D's. Every day I got up, my dad said, Tami, it's another day to excel. and he would tell me, I don't care what kind of grades you bring home as long as you do your best. But if you do your best, I'm sure you'll be bringing home A's.
Nice.
Yeah, my father said that too, and he was way off. But
my father said, hey, listen, I don't care what grades you get as long as you can hit that target at 200 yards. I'm good. You need to be able to defend the family. That's so.
My father said something like that, but he said, I don't care what grades you get, just don't come home and shame me. So I mean, it's all kind of the
right. Don't come home and say somebody's pregnant.
Not without a ring on her finger.
Right.
Oh, believe me, there would have been one glued on. But as we go further into this, and this is already, listen, his approval ratings are at 39% right now.
My dad's?
Yeah, yeah.
This is kind of the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
That's exactly, we were talking about that.
Talking about that.
On the air and said, this is validating a lot of what
we said.
We said
listen, we're taking
way back
ownership.
when, those of us who were paying attention, those of us on the right who, read through this law as much of it as you could before you wanted to claw your eyes out. And it made sense that, hey, this isn't going to work. And the numbers don't add up. And now all of a sudden, hey, look, the numbers aren't adding up. People are losing their insurance like we all estimated was going to happen. It's impossible to sign up. We talked about it last week. The Obamacare website was designed to take 1,100 people a day, but the day it was released, that's all.
Listen, the technology does not exist for people to accept more than that, okay? Technology does not exist for websites to be able to take more than that.
Compare it to the rollout of Twitter on the public exchange. Hello.
Oh, well, then
those guys rolled it out without a flaw. And that's just the difference between the government and everybody else.
Well, yeah, look at the Sackheads website. Sacco designed something that can accept 1,101 hits.
Right.
I mean,
and
that's
it hangs up on me regularly.
Well,
that's Sean. That's not the website. That's Sean and his little Vienna sausage finger. Listen, we've had this talk, Tammy. You're not listening, and I'm not appreciating this right now.
I'm sorry. Us
Thank you.
Norwegians, we're a little goofy.
I'm Norwegian. Sure, use race as an excuse. Why not, right, Tammy? Everybody else does. Way to be a good conservative and help us out. So well, hang on a second, because we were talking about getting some the kind of the gift that keeps on giving for. Now look, the Republicans. There's a new poll that came out, and Republicans just had a big 11-point swing in their favor in the most recent poll for congressional races coming up for the midterm elections, 2014.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And we talked about this when some people got mad at Cruz and he's doomed the party and look at the hits we're taking. Well, yeah, but look now.
He looks really good right now, and I thought he looked really good all along. But
I agree. And yeah, we may have lost Virginia. We gained so much, I think, in the long run. I think there's going to be a bigger gain out of this than there's going to be a loss, and I think we're starting to see that now. And I think the conservatives and the Republicans need to keep this in the forefront because 2 weeks is a lifetime in politics. In politics.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So this has to stay on the forefront. Yeah.
Well, listen,
I can see this being like 2010 when we made big advances in 2010, but then 2012 came around, which is why I really wanted to start doing the Hillary articles, because I think new media is going to have to stay front and center, focus like a laser, to make people aware of who these people are and do whatever we can to end run MSN.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to piss Obama off here real quickly, and I hope this goes directly to him.
Okay.
Because I know how much he hates George W. Bush, but I just want to point out.
Well, he's at fault for everything.
Listen, I just want to point out.
Do you know what George W. Bush single-handedly has done to the Obama administration? Everything wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to be clear on something though. George W. Bush has the highest approval rating of all United States presidents in history that approval ratings have been tracked. 90% he hit in September of 92. 92% in September of 2001. 90% approval rating. Nobody's come close to that. So Obama, suck it. Sorry, I was me being very professional.
Even after Obama single-handedly got Bin Laden. Oh, wait a minute. That was SEAL Team 6, and he wasn't supposed to say anything about him. Oh, oops.
Yeah, and their approval rating went through the roof, by the way.
SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was really Delta. You notice you never hear anything about those guys, and those guys...
we shouldn't hear anything about any of them, really, except that they're heroes. Because, people like Obama, it makes me sick because he does things, he decimates our military and then tries to take credit for what they do. And they're the ones, they just want to protect the Constitution, protect the flag in America, and come home safe and do their duty and shut up about it. And they don't, and they don't want their names out there for a lot of reasons.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. So we should just say, you guys are heroes. We know who got them, but we don't need to know all the details. Yep. But Obama, he wants to take credit when he can.
Out. That's exactly what I was going to say. Anything that he can take credit for, he absolutely does.
It's amazing how much he knew about that one operation.
But he knows nothing else
about anything else, right? Benghazi, I don't even know where Benghazi is. Have you ever heard of a place called Benghazi?
I heard about that on the news when you guys did.
Yeah. Who's Benghazi? Is that new type of car? What is this?
Mr. President, Geronimo is down. Get me a microphone. Somebody get me a microphone, quick. I did it. I did it.
Right.
Mr. President, it was SEAL Team I. But anything else that goes on...
He bought all the I's in the alphabet, let me tell you.
Anything else that he goes on... And you look like we go back to that apology that wasn't an apology, which is...
I did Obamacare. No, I didn't. Congress passed that. And I'm sorry, but we just need to educate
and the other thing,
more.
too, that you're starting to see him not use the Carney and MSM is they're starting to go back to calling it the Affordable Care Act. And I don't know if you picked up on that, but more and more.
They have a bit.
Yep.
Because they are trying to distance him from this as much as possible. I mean, let's face it. This, if it keeps going the way it is, I want it not to work because we said it wasn't going to work. I do feel bad for people like you and I who are getting dumped off our insurance, and then if this whole thing implodes, we're going to be left in la la land without anything and have to figure it out quickly. Especially because now they're going after those companies that self-insure. I bet you they're going to go after those quote unquote concierge style medical services, and then the employer mandate's going to hit. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And so he's like, I got to take my hand off of this.
Well, how many doctors and facilities are going to cash only now, right? The cash and carry style.
I think out of the 14 major hospitals in New Hampshire, I think it was 6 or 7 of them will not accept Obamacare.
Right.
And I really wonder how many doctors are going to retire early, how many people are not going to go into medicine because of this, and how many doctors are just going to flee the system entirely. I have no doubts that that's going to happen, because why should they hang around? It's been a headache for years, and now it's a complete nightmare.
Well, not only that, but now new doctors, right? Because medical school costs are through the roof, and with this plan, their salaries are going to be driven down based upon through the floor, based upon the new schedules and reimbursements.
So why take on all that debt when you will not be remunerated?
Exactly. And that's what I think is going to happen. So eventually, we're not going to have doctors to provide adequate care, and now we don't have the numbers to be able to pay for it. Care is going to have to be rationed.
The standards for doctors, because they're trying to get more doctors at some point, and it may not be for a few years, but because they need doctors so bad, and people who maybe couldn't pass the exam or couldn't get their license. I fear that there are some places that are going to go, oh, maybe it's a little difficult, because look at everything else we've dumbed down in this world.
Right.
And now you're going to have
the doctor that's failed surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
Nurse practitioners or something. Well, this is another reason I'm glad I'm good friends with Chris Sinog, the SEAL, that's the sniper instructor, because he also was a medic. So he's worked in combat as a medic. So I've got some good friends on hand.
I've put a Band-Aid on a couple people. Mostly me after playing Wii. But
which is the problem, because when you tear ligaments, you're not supposed to use a Band-Aid. But that's Sean.
That's not standard procedure.
Right.
So I have the Medicaid numbers, and they're kind of stifling. Since this all began, 293,000 newly eligible people have enrolled in Medicaid. At least 130,000 newly eligible people will be covered by Medicaid out of those that have enrolled, because there's they apply for it and they're not approved. But that's 300,000 people that went right to Medicaid. They said, I can't afford anything else. I got to go on the complete government plan. No money on their behalf at all.
Which we know Obama's end game is single payer, right?
Right.
It really is.
But how do you get there? You have to collapse the system, right?
Right, and you have to even make...
Well, this is what Alinsky does. This is what these radicals do. They create chaos, and they come in on their white horse with a plan and with heavy-handed government to take everybody up and solve the problem. And the solution is usually something like, socialism.
Yeah, and what does the race of the horse have anything to do with this? Like, why is it a white horse? I don't...
White horse, black horse.
We don't tolerate racism on this show.
Did you just say that because Ken, the exceptional conservative, entered the chat room?
Which is even weirder, right? Oh, Ken's here. Oh, black horse? Yeah, either way.
Well, but it also this ends up working out for them in 2 years or 3 years, and people end up swinging back the other way where they're like, oh, this is a great idea, because after the first year of not having coverage and many people I know dying, they finally figured it out, and we went to the single-payer system. It's going to open the door even larger to them privatizing more things that were public. And that's something that bothers me, too. And we did a poll this week. We did a poll online, essentially saying, hey, what's next on the privatization list for the government? Because they've already done health care, essentially. It's going to be a done deal. It's going to go one way or another. They're either going to repeal Obamacare or we'll be to the single-payer system in the next 5 years. There's no middle of the road on this. It's not going to stay as it is. because it cannot sustain. The numbers are proving that. And overwhelmingly, 60% out of the couple 300 and something that we polled turned around and said it's going to be electrical and power in the country.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Everything is now a right. It's funny how this is all in the Bill of Rights. I never knew that all these years when I studied it.
Well, it's because nobody understands or studies natural law.
Yeah.
So if they don't understand it, study it, even know what it is, and I mentioned this on the show a week or two ago. I had the opportunity to talk to an appellate court justice, and we were talking about natural law, and he was talking about colleagues of his that sit on the bench, and these are appellate and Supreme Court justices at the state level, but still high-level justices, that he says his colleagues going to Ivy League law schools don't study or have a solid understanding of natural law. And
wow.
And that's but that's the society we're in, because if you don't have that foundation, that understanding of natural law, then governments give rights, and if governments give rights, government can take rights away.
Rights.
Yep, we did a show way back when about the organic documents of the United States, and they're actually found in the archives where you can pull up online.
It took you a while.
What's weird,
to find
it took me
though.
a long time to find it, because those pages, there's actually in the congressional record that describe the Northwest or the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, and the Northwest Ordinance. I don't know if I said that or not, as the organic documents of the United States. And it's in the record that those are the foundational laws and documents of which everything should be based. It's in the congressional record, but in the archives, those pages are not page numbered. So you can't even do a hand search for them. I found them through some backdoor way, and I'll see if we can repost that post. But if you're clicking through page numbers on the archives through the congressional record for organic documents, it will not be there, because they purposely do not number those pages. You have to actually go through, and it's the weirdest thing, but they don't want that out there. And it started under Wilson when he wanted to get away from the constitutional law.
Wilson was a big progressive,
Huge.
He was one of the first real natural progressives. That
look at Colonel House in his book. What was it? Administrator.
Yeah.
Right. So we're up against the break, my friend.
All right. Tim, you gonna hang on
you
for
guys,
the other side?
And I have to take off because I was up at 4:30 this morning so I could be on KNUS in Denver, Colorado. So I'm kind of hitting a wall here.
You're breaking my heart. I don't appreciate that.
Well, that's all right, because when we come back, I want to talk about the controversial Obamacare ad that was out of, Colorado. Go figure.
Weird.
Tami J, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tami.
Oh, yeah,
Tell
it's
everybody
fun. I love being on with you guys.
Different ways they can find you. List them all for everyone to find you right now.
Okay, on Twitter, I'm at Tami J, Tamij. I have the website rightvoicemedia.com. I am the editor of theblacksphere.net, and I have the Tammy Jackson Show Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. I'm also the permanent fill-in host for Bill Post on KYKN, 1430 a.m. in Salem, Oregon, which it's also streaming. So those are my contact points.
Yeah, so a million of them. In other words, if you can't go in and type Tamara Jackson and find her, you're doing something wrong. You must be on the Obamacare website.
Yeah, if you type my full name, you'll find me.
My internet usage.
I'm there. You'll see this goofy girl with a tiara and a flag.
And that's Sean, but next to him will be
great.
Right.
Sean never lets me wear the tiara.
Me either.
Let me finish reading the list of amazing words. The illustrious, the amazing, the incredible, the always fantastic Tami J. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tami.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. We'll be back in 3.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew obviously that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Hey, we're back, and thank you again to our good friend Tami J for joining us. She is incredible. If you haven't read her article, The 47 Bodies of Hillary Clinton, go to theblacksphere.net and read both articles. 3 and 4 will be coming up hopefully sooner rather than later. Moving on, and a little bit of
.org.
You know, how they're trying to sell this now on this Obamacare debacle is insane. Everyone knows it's out there. It's been in the, you can't pick up you can't talk to somebody. They have navigators running around. But this is out of Colorado, and it's a picture of a guy and a girl together, and this is the ad that they were running. And it says, got insurance, kind of like got milk, ha, 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 that's funny. And it's a girl holding a thing of birth control in her hands, kind of doing like the side wink with the thumbs up, and this very douchebag guy-looking person standing next to her. This is what the text of the article says. Let's get physical. Oh, my God, he's hot. Except it's OMG, not oh, my God. Let's hope, because the people they're actually going after probably...
Just read the stinking article.
He's as easy to get as this birth control. My health insurance covers the pill, which means all I have to worry about is getting him between the covers. I got insurance, now you can too. Thanks, Obamacare.
Basically, thanks to Obamacare, I can now be a dirty whore and only worry about getting pregnant.
What is this, the Sandra Fluke?
And not worry about disease or any kind of other issues such as, I don't know, morals or judgment.
All it is, I mean, I understand sex sells. I get that. If you're in the commercial industry and you're selling a car, you always have the pretty lady or whatever.
You know where it sells? It sells in clubs with, like, poles all throughout it.
And on the Internet.
And on the Internet.
That's who they should have had, dude. The Obamacare website.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
There's a couple great ones out there that run really well.
Can you believe that they would stoop to this much to try to get people to sign up for health care? This isn't, hey, I like to be safe. This isn't blah, 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 whatever. This is, hey, you want to get laid? We can help you get birth control so you don't even have to worry about the consequences. Just go out, grab a dude, jump in the sheets, and Obamacare's got you covered.
Right. Hey, ladies. And that's out.
We get you covered like a Jimmy hat.
And that's out in public, right?
Yeah. This is a public ad.
So what kind of message is that sending to junior
the young
high
people.
and high school girls, guys, whatever?
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy to me that I don't even know, from the side, there's zero responsibility on the left. We've talked about that. The things that they push to be okay amongst our youth, amongst our young adults and everything, drugs, whatever. They just keep pushing. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There's no consequences in life. But this is the hallmark ad, as far as I'm concerned, for what Obamacare is. Get mindless drones to sign up for it under the false pretense that it's good for you, and don't worry about what the consequences may be in life.
Let me translate. You get dirty hookers to sign up because they're filthy whores, and they want free crap. For those of you that don't speak Bostonian. Did I pretty much nail what you said?
Dude, I just – can you imagine, I'm trying to think of other government programs that you would sign up for.
I have one.
Okay.
School. Right. Sex ed, free condoms, right? Free abortions where we don't have to tell your parents.
Maybe that's a way to get kids back in school.
California, right?
Hey,
that's California, you can have an abortion, 14, 15 years old, not tell your parents.
And now it doesn't even have to be done by a doctor. It can be done by
your mom or janitor.
As long as they
know how to use a Slim Jim and they heat it up with a lighter first, I think they can do it.
That's pretty much what Governor Brown signed into law. It's not that far different.
Right.
And a Band-Aid. Finally, the Band-Aid works for something.
Right. You asked for an example. I gave you one. School.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Why would you shut me down that quick?
I apologize. Oh, yeah, we have time to kill. Go ahead. What, Sean? What else could possibly you sign up for like this?
How about driver's licenses? Hey, you want to go to your girl's house and get laid? You need a driver's license. Put it right next to your condom in your wallet. Don't get caught without it. I mean, if any of these ads started popping up, people would be going insane.
Let's take that one step further, right?
Oh, God. Why? Why do we have to? We both know that you're going to bring this into somewhere awful.
Right? Listen, free mouth exerciser.
Oh, no.
What?
No.
What? Right? Because a healthy jaw.
I am so glad Tammy went to bed. But this is, you look at how dirty Obamacare is. And we've talked about numbers. We've talked about this and that. This, having the criminal navigators go into people's houses, this
compliance.
Exactly. This is just total free-for-all. We don't care what we have to do to convince you, absolutely convince you that this is the best thing for you. We're going to send people to your house. You're going to be able to go online. You can call. You can get laid if you sign up for Obamacare. We're giving you the world, folks. It's just going to cost you a ridiculous amount of money. More importantly, it's going to cost the people that actually pay taxes an ass ton of money. And that's the thing that I think people are missing on a regular basis.
I think they're starting to see it.
I agree.
Which is why his numbers have tanked and the Republicans have pretty much gotten over the whole.
I want to print out his ratings and frame it and put it on our wall, because I'd like to think that maybe, just maybe, that we have something to do with it. There was a lawmaker that put out today about the Obamacare website.
Hang on. Yes, Mary, you can. Sorry, go ahead.
Essentially, how dangerous the Obamacare website, and I just saw a comment in our chat room from Atomic Ray, who was talking about how hacked the Obamacare site is. I guess in some states, it's so bad that they're suggesting you fax in your and these are the individual states that are doing their own version of the mandate or their own version of the sign-up, that you fax in your application because they're having problems with hackers.
Oh, because the employees that get the faxes aren't as dirty as the ones that they have sitting right next to that on the phone.
I mean, they're talking now 6 months before the website should be where they would be on October 1st. Democratic chairman of the Finance Committee, Max Baucus, said that they should hold the website down until they can fix it, based on the fact that it's going to be 4 to 6 months before the website could possibly
or they should shut the whole freaking law down until they can fix it.
Yeah, I know. I can't even
or actually
imagine.
come up with a
and
true
this is
bipartisan.
Democrat. I mean, this isn't.
Well, no, that's a Democrat that's a Democrat who's saying that now because he realizes he's up against a wall on this. What was his vote back in 2009?
I'm sure it was for it, but
of course.
But even now, I mean, the fact that Democrats, and I know there are those who are coming up for re-election that are trying to walk it back, and we've talked to you before about this. Don't let them walk it back. Don't give them that opportunity. Make them own it. But I think there are some out there who, maybe they came in after the vote or whatever, but it could just be the fact that reality is taking over, and they're like, don't use this website. You're going to get hacked. It doesn't work anyhow. We all know it doesn't work. So what's the point of having it?
Is this part of a greater conspiracy?
Oh, let's
now
hear
follow
this.
me on
No,
this.
I'm going down the road already.
Did the government make a bogus website so that it could get hacked and create more victims so that another federal agency would get a bigger caseload of ID theft and now be able to expand their budget and investigators, and we're really just continuing to grow the government, and now you're doing it not only with healthcare, but with other agencies as well.
Well, that's not necessarily. Well, I mean,
you like that theory?
This is also
it's totally bogus, but I think it's going to make a case for it, right? If I was some bullshit windbag attorney, I could do that.
There's no difference in that than out there that this is so bad because it's going to force us to the payer system, and if this is a great idea, and people are like, ooh, it started, and we can make it better, and here's how we get single payer system. We're going to cut out that middleman. You worry about getting dropped ever again. Blah 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 blah. So there is that.
It's worked in other countries for a little while before they started to try and go back.
It kind of almost worked.
Listen, we can figure it out because we're Americans.
Because we can do socialism better than everyone else.
Right. We know what socialism's all about.
But at some point beyond this, you do have to look at, like I said, when we're talking about what other private entities are going to go, what are they going to use this as the model for to expand in other form, either expanding form. Look at what this did to the IRS and Health and Human Services. Doubled, tripled in size overnight because of this. And then you find another reason, you get another reason for them to expand government even more and become more invasive into our life. I mean, listen, if I chose to go in the government system, and I'm sure, and even if I don't choose, there are things that now the federal government will know about my personal health that is just mind-boggling. And you can say that it's not about control, but they started last week. The FDA came out and said now they're going after the trans fats of the country. They're going to try to ban them all the way through the country. Why? Well, it's self-serving to them because they think trans fats are bad, and you and I shouldn't eat them because it makes us fat and unhealthy. It's going to cost Obamacare more unhealthy. So that's their going down this road.
Absolutely. What does Congress use to pass whatever law they want? They use the Commerce Clause, right?
Absolutely.
Well, now we have the Supreme Court that's ruled the individual mandate is constitutional because the tax to impose it, even though it's a frickin' penalty, but the tax is constitutional, is a constitutional exercise of Congress's authority to tax. So the FDA can use that and say, well, hang on, wait a second, because we are paying for it through this constitutional law to ensure you, it's our job to save the taxpayers' money to make sure you're healthy, so we can go ahead and control this aspect of your life. Oh, and guess what? Lead poisoning is also a danger. So, all lead-based ammunition should probably go away.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, booze isn't good for you. So
they tried that one.
Yeah, but you know
it didn't work out.
But now
it's
different because it's going to cost you.
Right. Booze is really bad for you, but weed is awesome.
Right.
Wait, that sounds backwards to me for some reason.
Right. Which I want to see how they're going to eliminate trans fats when they're pushing weed left and right, when everyone knows that Doritos and Funyuns have tons of trans fat in it. At some point, those two are going to come to a head.
Stoners will, at some point, be like, listen,
will revolt.
I need my
tomorrow.
Taco Bell and my Doritos.
Stoners will revolt tomorrow.
And my Orange Crush.
They can't really get to it today. They have a lot going on. You look at how expensive this becomes.
God,
like
I'm
you
hungry
said,
all of a sudden.
I know. I would kill for a Dorito. You look at now with the, like you said, the tax or the penalty, they can start blowing this out more and more. We just brought up the FDA. Hey, this is unhealthy for you. Tobacco. You look at everything that the government doesn't like or it's not self-serving to them. They tax
Republicans. Republicans are bad for your health because they don't want you to have health insurance. They need to be taxed more.
Right.
Wait, what?
What? But you look.
Gun owners should be taxed more. Because of PR. I know.
That's already been proposed that guns be taxed on it. Listen, if it's commerce, if they're selling it, then why should one thing that's being sold be taxed at a different rate than something else? You look at gas, like we've talked about before. I think it's 20% of the cost of gas is taxes alone, federal, state, local. You look at alcohol, same thing. Alcohol is much more expensive on top of the sales tax. Tobacco, look at what they did to tobacco companies. Listen, as much as I don't think children should smoke, as much as I know smoking is unhealthy, I don't think that the government has the right to shut down a business or tax them into oblivion because they don't like it. It's people's choice. Tobacco company didn't kick in the door when I was 16 and put the first smoke in my mouth.
Yes, they did.
I
saw the commercials.
And I can't sue my friend for it.
But he worked for the tobacco industry, I'm sure. And that's the problem.
He worked in their weed fields. But,
the drug dealer didn't kick in my front door and stick that first joint in my mouth, right? It was the cops, and they pulled it out of my mouth. And then they took anyways, that's a whole different story for another day.
Story.
It was,
But so you look at those that they've already demonized, and now they're going to do food. And what else they can ever say you're parachuting. Oh, well, we have too many ankles broken for people parachuting.
Americans don't have a history of taking taxes on specific items very lightly. Let's look at, the stamp tax.
Yeah.
For you Democrats out there, that's something that happened way back in the 1700s that pissed a lot of us off, and not us because I wasn't there. I'm not that old. And we actually called England out over it. Anyways, so we do have a history getting pissed off over things like that, but people are kind of standing for it now. I wonder at what point they're going to.
Well, at some point, you know what it is we talked about last week, 1 in 3 people now who are unemployed don't even want to look for work. They don't want to work jobs because they're better off on the government system. So they're not being taxed, and that's 50% of the country right now is unemployed and on the welfare or something to that effect. So they're already not being taxed. So they don't care.
And some of them are there by choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not all of them.
Not all of them are there by choice.
But some of them are there by choice.
Yeah.
And what happens if we call them out on it? Like right now, I bet I'm going to get hate mail because I made that statement. Some of them are there by choice because they know how to work the system.
Absolutely.
And they do. You're called a racist. You're called a hate mail. You're called all these nasty things because you point out.
Well, I got told a story a long time ago. A friend of mine was working in the Social Security office. He didn't work for the office, but he was there. He listened as the woman behind the counter was coaching the woman applying for Social Security on how to do it. As he listened more, it was her cousin, and she was telling her everything that she could put down to get the most amount of money, whether it was true or not, because it's not my money, I don't care. When my friend brought it to the supervisor's attention and said, hey, that's fraud. She's committing fraud right here. The supervisor essentially said, yeah, well, she's a government union. I can't touch her. And she was also, I want to say she was Hispanic.
That's when you report it to law enforcement, and they have to do an investigation.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that California's pushing now is, Cover California, we're really going to go after the fraud, and we're hiring a whole bunch of investigators.
Oh, that's good. Spend more tax dollars to hire a bunch of investigators.
Actually, for an instance of fraud that you have created. But it goes more and more. This expands on so many lanes or so many more tributaries, if you will, where it just keeps going.
And you know those guys, right?
Going.
Those guys are not going to be able to investigate their way out of a paper bag. Well, where's the opening? I don't know. Is this fraud? I don't.
Well, because you know as well as I do, though, that as soon as you are investigating a fraud on a family that's a protected class or something, and they turn around and file that report, the state's going to turn around and go, yeah, don't investigate that one anymore. You need to let that one go. Well,
why do you hate this group so much?
Exactly.
You're just investigating them because they're
Oh, you're going after every poor person, aren't you? You're just investigating them all, aren't you? Well, no.
If they're committing fraud, yes.
Well, that's what the answer should be.
Yes.
But it won't be, and we all know it won't be. It's only going to get so much worse. And that's what's scary to me. And like I said, it's not even completely rolled out yet.
I know. Look, we can do an entire 2 hours on this crap. I do want to bring something up. Remember the plastic guns?
Yes.
The 3D printer you can use and make an undetectable firearm.
I know where you're going already. After here, we're going to Taco Bell.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Cheetos. But the law that prohibits weapons that are basically not immediately recognizable as weapons is set to expire, which means that those plastic guns, people are going to be able to legally produce those again, and people are freaking out at the excuse me, over there in the House and the Senate. Chuck Schumer, our buddy from New York, Chuckles, shoe wearer. I don't have a good name for that.
That's the worst one you've ever done.
I know, right?
You're normally really good at that.
Right, which is funny in and of itself.
We got Pistol Grip Pelosi out of you.
We did. And Bill Fool Nelson out of I know. I don't know what to do on this. Out of Florida are immediatally now, of course, calling for
Willie Nelson?
A ban on plastic guns. No, he's awesome.
Well, yeah, they're calling the recall, and it's funny. I read a news article last week that the first 3D gun, it was metal, it was made with all metal parts, the 3D printer was printing in metal, was actually tested and approved for sales.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of cool. And if they can do plastic, and now I read that, I'm like, hey, that's really cool that they did that. And now I'm like, oh, great, because all people are going to do is get a metal version of the plastic printer and start making this, and now they're going to outlaw it completely.
Well, look, they're freaking out because, it's an undetectable firearm. It's an undetectable firearm. We have to be able to, why?
You'll be able to detect it if somebody's trying to rob somebody and somebody has it on them.
Right. Look, this is not going to be, if somebody's going through metal detectors and they want to defeat the metal detectors, yeah, they could have it through. But let's be honest. Let's look at attacks at schools, for example, right? Even with metal detectors or whatever it is, airports, the LAX shooting, there's metal detectors there, right? That individual wanted to commit a rapid mass murder, an attack against TSA agents. He brought a full metal weapon in and began firing an attack at that checkpoint. He didn't need a plastic gun to do it. Let's look at the Naval Shipyard shooting.
Same thing.
He didn't need a plastic gun to shoot it. Do you remember the shooter at the Capitol building where the U.S. Capitol police officer died, and that was several years ago?
Yep.
He didn't need a plastic gun to do it. That just means that the first line of defense comes under fire first. So
I'm pretty sure at Oklahoma City they had metal detectors too.
Right. What are we trying to accomplish here? Well, somebody could carry it on a plane. Okay, but you have those body scanners where you can see my junk. I'm pretty sure you can see a plastic gun.
I didn't know they zoomed in that much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
The zoom is incredible. It's basically like Hubble, but better because it's TSA.
Right.
So...
Well, listen, Penn Jillette said you can't stop insane people from doing insane things.
You cannot, and that's the point. Look, it's illegal to commit mass murder. It's illegal to conduct an assassination. Whether you do it with a plastic gun or you do it from the book depository,
or you poison,
right?
Or you
poison, or you take a shot from what it's all illegal. Well, it's making it easier. Well, guess what? Security measures have to evolve with technology.
Absolutely.
Just as they have over the years. So why are we going to deprive a group of people for this gun for whatever reason? Maybe they just want to manufacture the gun in their own home and not spend X number of dollars on a metal weapon. Maybe they like the way it shoots. Maybe they want it because it's a novelty to have in their collection. Whatever the deal is, it does not matter. The Second Amendment protects this weapon just like it protects any other weapon. And so I think that I am obviously anti creating a law for this. I think it's completely unnecessary. And it's not that I'm just saying, oh, well, criminals are going to do what they're going to do, so we shouldn't stop them. No, we should take proactive measures to stop criminals. We should not take measures against citizens as a whole because some whack job may decide to do something evil with it.
Right. Like everything else, you have to do appropriate steps to deal with these folks. You can't just throw it out there. Oh, nothing's ever happened, and all of a sudden we're going to turn around and we're going to outlaw this. Well,
right.
Why? Well, because it's all plastic, get through metal detectors. Bullets are metal. Yeah, but, have you seen the TSA? They're not exactly good at what they do. So the more metal would be the best. That would be great. Actually, if everyone could wear a sign on their head that said, I have a gun, like a scarlet letter.
Right. If you're a criminal, you have to wear a sign. And if you don't wear a sign and you do a crime, it's now another crime that we're going to tack on that we're not going to charge you for anyways because nobody gets charged with anything because it's really not your fault anyways you didn't have your sign on. We should have paid and given you the markers.
It's only a matter of time before we have to walk around with the sign that says, caution, sackhead approaching.
Right.
Hey, we're up against our last break. I
want to make one more point. There is not one criminal case in the United States, either under investigation or criminal complaint that has been filed involving these plastic guns.
Well, of course not. You know why? I'll tell you exactly why right now. You can't go out and steal.
I thought we were up against a break.
Oh, because you can't throw that at me and expect me to shut up. It's your fault, not mine. Sacco, it's his fault. Don't yell at me because we went over. Because a 3D printer is very expensive, as is the computer and the software. It's very hard to steal, to do it illegally, and make it in your house and then commit a crime with it, which, as we know, a lot of guns used in crimes should not be held by the person that used them through mental health, or they're stolen or illegal, whatever. So people aren't going to break into the house. They're not going to go out and buy these guns and use them illegally. They don't have the money or understanding on how to do it, a lot of criminals, especially street criminals. So they're still just going to go ahead and break into somebody's house. They'll walk by that printer to steal the safe that has the gun in it maybe, but it's not going to be an issue. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
You just start for your $5,000, they're at $200.
No, eventually it'll get cheaper, but at that point, like Clint said, the security will have to evolve with the threat.
Yeah.
So by the time that transpires, we may be able to, without being ridiculously invasive.
Government is freaking lazy. Instead of having technology and dealing with the problem and evolving procedures and so forth to deal with the problem, they just want to make a law to try and get rid of whatever they see as a potential problem.
Everything. You know what that worked great on was hard drugs, serious drugs.
It worked awesome, right? We had a war on drugs, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah, we really took it to them.
We should have a war on guns. I bet that would work out really well.
Do you remember years ago?
Guns.
Back in, I think it was maybe in the early 1800s.
I thought we were up against a break. What are you doing?
When they outlawed murder, and we haven't had one since. Isn't that just lovely?
Right. Remember when the Bible said, "Thou shalt not kill," and God outlawed murder, and there was never a murder ever since that moment.
If you ever bring that up, some idiot would yell, "Separation of church and state! You can't say that. It wasn't a law just because it's in the Bible."
Yeah, I can, and I can make a case for it. We're up against a break.
We'll see in a couple of years.
God, you just go on and on and on.
Laurie, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people will be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. ConservativeOutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on ConservativeOutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Can you get the Stanford one?
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So Clint pointed out something amazing to me at the break, and I didn't know this because I went on a tizzy, and apparently I cursed, which I pride myself on being the only one that doesn't regularly do it on the show.
On the show.
I'll
have you know
I
that
curse
would
like
qualify.
a sailor as soon as we get off the air. But I try to keep it, a little bit more friendly, and he was able to break me, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So we have important callers on hold right now, and I'm going to bring them.
What's even better is you actually didn't swear, and I convinced you did, and you just threw yourself down on the air.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm just kidding.
Red, white, blue, that's a joke, son. A flag waver.
Rooster, I wore a hat in honor of...
Oh, no. Both
I'm bringing them
Gentlemen, your production staff is slightly behind. I told you last week, where the white women at? That's what I said. I refuse to go on now.
Hey, listen, Sean's wearing a wig and a pair of stilettos, and that's all I'm saying.
We're in California, baby. Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show, Rooster from ConservativeOutcry.net. We're going to bring them both in and confuse the hell out of everybody. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
Hey, Ken, I'm in Prince George's County, Maryland. I ain't here.
Well, we out here in D.C., we don't wear that kind of stuff unless we're in P Street, and that's okay.
Listen, I'm wearing a hat in Rooster's honor tonight, and I wore it in light of Kerry's diplomatic push, and it's my infidel hat. And on the front it says infidel in English in big bold letters, and it also says infidel in Arabic right underneath, just in case they can't fucking read English. So that I can clearly identify myself for any radicals out there.
I did
it in honor of you tonight, Rooster.
You going in to apply for federal assistance or something? That's probably who's not going to read English.
I appreciate
and I'm buying a big
it.
gulp at the next convenience store I pass on the way home.
I've decided that as technology evolves, and you just gave me this idea, Clint.
Oh no!
It's better to go back in time. So I've now decided that, as you know, I'm pulling back to the Appalachians. I'm going to arm my hillbilly army in the Appalachians with blowguns.
I'm sorry, what kind of guns?
Blowguns.
I didn't hear what kind. Just say that first word really slow for me.
Move right along, Rooster. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Blowguns dipped in mushroom oil, and I'm going to send them all back to college.
Okay.
I'm not going to kill them.
Listen, Conservative Outcry, you had me at blowgun.
Listen.
Hold on. Let me get my, I'm pulling out my dentures.
Hey, so do you still have your musket that you were issued under General Washington?
Yeah, but the government made me pour something in the barrel. I can't shoot it anymore.
You have to plug it up.
Yeah.
Listen, Rooster, I had that problem too, but this infomercial came on midnight, and a couple of weeks ago I ordered the thing, and no more problems, guy.
Yeah, no more problems. I got big problems over here.
Hey Ken, was that
my damn pretzel buns.
Ken, was that the pasta vat? Because I've seen that commercial. Are you wearing the button-up shirt?
All right, hold on. We have to take control again because
yes.
There are actually other people listening to us right now.
You know you can't bring both of them in on the same time.
But I wanted to kind of do
I'm trying to control them, Sean. I'm not contributing to this conversation.
No, I'm actually going to mute your mic in a second. Hey, Ken, real quick, what is your thought on today's numbers that came out about Obamacare?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I saw Leroy, Salama, my brothers, in Saco.
Sadly, I think Saco is the only one that understood what that meant.
And how's about some bacon back to you, too?
I want to make it extremely clear that we are constipated right now with the numbers that have been enunciated and given out to us this evening from the White House. We are pleasantly unpleased with the fact that you are so stupid that you can't figure out how to enroll. So what we're going to do is make certain that we send out some of our glorious Nation of Islam navigators to help you enroll. Because apparently you're not doing it right. We will make up the numbers. Excuse me.
Actually, you could have just left it out
that
we'll make up the numbers.
Excuse me. Once we've done that, we will go before Congress and make certain that the whole world knows, including the UN, that America is into making certain that the poor people have what they didn't need in the first place because we gave it to them. Secondly, Assalamu alaikum, my brother in Saco.
Now, amazingly, Ken, if you listen to the White House about these numbers, you're not all that far off on how they've tried to spin this. But I think it's amazing that you just embodied it one brief paragraph. Hey,
thank you
Rooster,
very much.
Rooster, the same question's going to go over to you. Were the numbers way below what you expected, or what? And you don't have to. You can just respond.
I don't care about the numbers. You want to fix Obamacare, you need Ronco. Rob Pompey, put him on the air, He'll take care of it. Now, here's what's bothered me. Okay. This is why I called tonight. My son, he's learning about the Revolutionary War. So I thought that this was a time that I could bond with my son because I'm particularly fond of that time, period of time. And he's at that age where he doesn't like to talk to Dad. So I kept pressing him, what are you learning about? What are you learning about? Finally he said, Benedict Arnold. He's a traitor. I said, he was a great general. No, he wasn't. He was a traitor. Gave up the fans of West Point. I said, no, he didn't, Joe. He goes, yes, he did. My teacher said so. I said, you go tell your teacher he's wrong. He gave up the plans to Fort Arnold. And he told his teacher that. And the teacher says, I'm wrong.
Oh, my. Are you going to have a parent-teachers conference over this?
Well, no, I sent him back. And I said, not only was it Fort Arnold, but Benedict Arnold actually got what he wanted from Washington right before the whole thing went down. And that had he not become a traitor, he would have been the greatest general of the Revolutionary War, probably.
Absolutely would have.
Yeah,
yep.
He absolutely.
He has a monument from one of the battles that he won that they refused to put his name on it, but they still honored him with a monument because he was so great a general for the Americans for a while.
So I fired the first salvo. That got me thinking. And this was on earlier in the week because we celebrated Veterans Day. I don't know if you talked about it earlier, but the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month, we all know what happened. But then it happened again. But the term American exceptionalism, it's being talked about, left and right now, and we don't want to press it on the world. And I'm thinking, if you were a Jew back in the early 30s, late 30s, you couldn't wait for American exceptionalism to arrive. If you were a Pole at the end of the war, you didn't want it to leave.
Right.
And then you think about all the people Stalin killed. So here's what I'm wondering. This is what I'm asking for. I just want a week. I'm not even looking for a whole month. Because, Black History Month is coming up, and then, Mexican History Month is coming up, and Indian History Month is coming up, and then that's the end of the school year.
No, actually, they traded that for pearls. So the Indians don't have a month anymore.
Okay. I want 1 week of study about the history of the United States.
Yeah,
and
true history.
Specifically, true history. And not some, we're going to watch Schindler's List in class. I want them to watch the films that Patton took and that Eisenhower took as they toured those camps. And then when you listen to people today talking about, these people are crazy. They strap bombs to their chest. They don't care if they die. You know what? That's already been done. That was done back in 1944, 1945 by the Japs. Those people were evil, just like the people today we're dealing with are evil, and they need to go away.
No, I agree with you. I think that the biggest thing that gets twisted in our classrooms today, one of them is history. And you look at even now what they're starting to teach, and I bring up September 11th, and I bring that up because I was talking about American exceptionalism this week with the One World Trade Center. One World Trade Center being named the tallest building in the United States, and that was the first thing I said is that's a tribute to American exceptionalism. But the history of what happened on 9/11 is already starting to be skewed. Mm-hmm. They don't like to point out that they were Muslim extremists. They just name them as terrorists. They don't talk about really bin Laden in conjunction with 9/11. They don't talk about the heroics of the day performed by the first responders, the average citizens. They don't talk about the horrendous views that people saw, people jumping, from the top of the towers, all that. They sanitize it and reproduce it in a manner that's effective to their policy and what they want.
Yeah, but if you talk to your grandfather, he still refers to the Germans as Jerry's.
Absolutely.
And he still refers to the Japanese as the Japs.
Yep, I had one grandfather in the Pacific and one in the Atlantic, and that's exactly the term they both used.
And you know what? They probably do mean disrespect, but not to the ones today, to the ones from back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the ones from back then are back again today, but now they're not flying planes. They got bombs strapped to their chest.
Yeah. Oh, what's old is new. Listen, the art of killing people hasn't really evolved per se, just the tools to do it. And insane people, as we talked about earlier, who want to do insane things, will do it in whatever manner they have. We talked about the first mass killing at a school, and it went back to, what was it, Clint, 1750-something?
For the first attack on schools?
Yeah.
It was 1760s, and it was during Pontiac's Rebellion.
Right.
Yeah, the Enoch Brown schoolhouse that was attacked. 9 school children and the schoolmaster, 10 dead. It was an edged weapon attack. Obviously, 1 survived, and it was Native Americans that perpetuated that attack. That was the first one documented on American soil. It was colonies at the time. So that's the first documented rapid mass murder.
So, but that just goes on to show you that people are going to do it however they want, and they're going to use previously proven methods, especially if it's simple. And let's face it, IEDs and bomb straps to chest now, you can go on the internet and figure out how to do it and use kind of household products. You look at, and even though it didn't detonate, you look at New York Times Times Square a couple of years ago, the guy that was using the cheap timer and the propane tanks that was wrapped in nails. So insane people are going to do insane things, but you need to show that it's been going on for years and that this isn't a new phenomena. This isn't something that's just thought out by what's going on now. Atrocities have been committed for a long time. And for the last 100 years, plus, it's been Americans with our allies, but usually American-led, that stops these atrocities.
Listen, we're back-to-back World War champs. That's all I'm saying. Back-to-back World War champs.
We have the belt.
We have the belt.
Segue back to Obamacare.
Yes.
And think about the socialist path that it takes you down. And then, would you have had let me think of 2, Woodward and Bernstein? You think they would have existed in Soviet Russia?
Heck no.
Of course, they're just dead.
And that's where we're headed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've said this before. Once this gets to the single-payer system, they can gussy it up however they want now. And, it's not true socialism because there's still the middleman and there's still the insurance companies are in the middle, so it's not really, we're just overseeing it like we do with everything else. Once we get to that single-payer system, if we get there, if it is not repealed, it will be a true socialist medicine, and that will be the beginning of this terrible snowball that I feel this country will be hit by. It'll just roll down.
Well, but let's look at the progressive movement, and let's talk about socialism. Let's talk about communism and fascism, right?
Yeah.
That's not true right and left. That's 2 opposite ends of the spectrum when you're talking about total government, right? You have anarchy on one end of the spectrum, you have full government on the other end of the spectrum. Now we have to move up and down instead of left or right.
Right.
The argument's been turned on its head. We no longer argue true left and right. We no longer argue true more government, less government, for the most part, unless you're Tea Party. We argue true up and down.
Yeah.
So if you turn that left and right, that anarchy to tyranny up, and now you look at fascism on what would be the right or the down, and communism on what would be the left, that's really what we're arguing when we're talking about progressives, be it progressive Republicans versus progressive Democrats, which is why the Democrats call Republicans fascist and Republicans call the Democrats communists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what is being argued today. And so we need to stop that argument altogether and just talk strictly less government and bring that argument down to a true left and right instead of an up and down, if that made any sense whatsoever. Now, one thing about
I would like to cordially disagree with you in just one respect.
Sure.
And that's regarding the progressive movement. The progressive movement, eloquently described many years ago by Bastiat, comprises anything that sets itself against the Constitution itself. And even in the misinterpretations which Bill O'Reilly apprised as individuals to suggest, makes it the flamboyant goal of the Supreme Court to make that which is just. Simply put, anything that does not align itself with the U.S. Constitution in its strictest conveyance is left. And so the attacks against those who believe in the conservative mode of the interpretation, the strict constitutional interpretation, is radical. And what you will find on the opposite side are libertarians that pride themselves as being colorful enough to hang out with the GOPers, but also radical enough to hang out with those who are on the left. You have those who are progressives. You have the Leninists, the Marxists, the Socialists, and the anti-government altogether. The great thing about conservatives is that we do believe in government, but we do not believe that government is the purveyor of the life itself. We believe that there is a need for government in a lessened form, that which is a protector of rights and not a giver of rights. And that's where we begin to delineate the differences.
And I agree with you, Ken. I agree with you, Ken, completely. But I think we're missing the point here on one thing for what I was saying, and maybe I wasn't articulate enough in my point. You're absolutely right. So on the sliding scale where we have anarchy and tyranny, the Articles of Confederation were more towards the anarchy side. There was not a lot of centralized government. It did not work. Yeah. We needed to move it, slide that more towards the more government side of that scale. We ended up with the United States Constitution, which strengthened the federal government and gave us the government we need, which we believe on. From there, we've kind of started moving. We've moved away from that, right? And we've been moving towards more government. And the progressives have done that to get us away from that Constitution. And it's been done by Republicans, and it's been done by Democrats. Democrats typically tend to accelerate that. But now, if you look at the progressive Republican view of government, they believe it, like Newt Gingrich. They believe in a larger government. And they talk about individual liberties and so forth, but they're talking about a big military and things that our founders and that Constitution is not designed and set up for. You're looking more at a fascist type government when you're looking at that, which would be down that scale, versus the Democratic progressives, again, moving us away from the Constitution towards a bigger government, which Woodrow Wilson, Franklin, Teddy Roosevelt, Republicans and Democrats really grew the government in that progressive, in those progressive presidential years. And now you're looking more at a socialist, more of a Marxist view like Obama. So I agree with you that the true argument should be Constitution versus larger government. And we obviously believe in a strict constitutional interpretation, limited government. We recognize the importance of having a strong federal government without having a bloated federal government. But my only point is you have progressives on both sides of the aisle, and now that's where we see the argument a lot of times, like McCain. You have McCain arguing a fascist argument sometimes, versus Obama, it's arguing more of a Marxist-type argument. Yeah. And so I wish the Republican Party would kick those people loose and end up with a true conservative party, and that was my point. So I agree with you, but maybe my point wasn't clear at the beginning.
Oh, no, Clint, I agree with you, and I blame Sacco for the fact that we had this small disagreement between each other. I now have a better understanding.
You know what, Ken? I apologize that our sound quality was not good enough for what I was conveying to you and for you to misunderstand and misinterpret. So I apologize, and we're going to go ahead and get on that right away.
Our engineer's going to catch a beating after the show. There's no doubt about it.
I was going to say flogging.
See, this is proof that Ken and Rooster can have an actual lucid conversation about conservative principles. And with that said, I want to see John McCain one time before he retires to look at. No, I want him to look at the Pelosi or somebody in Congress and just say, "Have you gone dinky out?"
Hey, Rooster. I want one point, and I wonder, are you going to tell your son's teacher that Fort Clinton at West Point was renamed Fort Clinton after the betrayal, and the reason the name was changed was because it was Fort Arnold in the first place?
It was Fort Clinton. I didn't know about Fort Clinton.
Yeah, the name was changed a couple days after he betrayed them. They renamed it Fort Clinton.
Well, I knew it was Fort Arnold, and actually I did know that. I didn't know the name because they were pissed off at Arnold. Arnold.
And that officially began the stripping of Benedict name, everything in the country.
The funny thing is Arnold got everything he wanted. He got a third of the military under his command. It was offered to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant man. I just want to say, on behalf of the brothers, Rooster, who are part of the nation of Fulam, that we will be there for your son. And we will miseducate your teacher to make certain that she re-educates everyone in the classroom that poor Arnold had nothing to do with anything that happened in the 1970s on different strokes. Thank you, sir.
What you talking about, Ken?
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show, Rooster from ConservativeOutcry.net. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time tonight.
Good night. God bless.
Good night, guys. God bless.
Both of you all the same. God bless. Thank you very much for joining us.
Are we done?
We are finally done.
Are you kidding me?
I never thought it was going to end. I mean, I love doing this show. Join us next Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock for the Sackheads Radio Show. No, seriously, join us. You can follow us on Twitter at Sackheads, Facebook.com/SackheadsRadio, and www.sackheadsradio.com. Thank you to Sacco and Jessica, our sound and production team. Thank you to the number one man in all of radio who didn't call in tonight. But I do appreciate you being here, Clint, and getting me to swear. That was a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
See you next week.
Take care.